I have no religious affiliations. However, I was first exposed to music through church. My mother was like a choir director, and so my sister and I would kind of be dragged to rehearsals every Saturday. So that was really when I was exposed to live music and playing instruments and reinterpreting songs and reinterpreting music because we were singing native songs, but also, well, I say we, but I wasn't doing any singing. We were interpreting native songs, but also reinterpreting Western songs into our more like native sound. So that was where I was first exposed to music, but my love for music didn't really become a thing until, this is gonna sound super weird, but if anyone remembers the soap opera Passions, I distinctly remember this moment when the theme song to Passions played, and there was this like flute at the end of the theme song. If you know, it's like I always associated it with Eastern Canada, but I do think that it's a staple in Celtic music. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And that was really like, I would always, right, because it was a show that like my mom watched and like my cousins, like they were all older or whatever. So, it was like a thing, like a little joke that we all had. But I personally, my favorite thing about the entire show was actually the theme song. Like once the theme song was done, I was kind of like zoned out. Like I didn't pay attention to what went on the screen. So ironically, that was really the moment that sort of seeded my love for music. However, I do have to also give credit to the soundtrack to Tomb Raider Legend. That was really what introduced me to, I guess in quotations, the world sound, incorporating sounds and I guess music from all over the world. I was already kind of predispositioned to that because I'm not white, so being first generation Canadian really kind of sort of opened my eyes to this sort of dance of identities, right? Or maybe even like fusion of identities and sort of reinterpreting things on either side, right? To sort of have a more complete picture of, I guess, humanity. And so that soundtrack really truly sort of sent me onto a whole new level of seeking out music and sound that really spoke to my spirit. So I would say those two combined, the Passions theme song and the soundtrack to Tomb Raider Legend. This is a very weird question. I think I might actually be Mariah Carey's Music Box album, 1993. Mostly because I started songwriting when I was 9, and I think I took a lot of my melodic or even lyrical cues, if we're talking about like rhythmic syncopation, like the percussiveness of the words that you're using and sort of how they syncopate with the music and the rhythm of the, instruments. I think I got my sensibilities for that from her, specifically that album, because my mother had that album and I had like one of those like stereos that had like the cassette player in the front and the CD player on top. And so I would pop the CD player in all the time, and there were a lot of songs off that album I think that sort of influenced especially my early songwriting, but I'm pretty sure I would not be surprised if there are threads of her work, her musical ear, even in my songwriting today. I mean, I'm very well aware that I've sort of configured my own way of writing, my own style of writing, but I wouldn't be surprised if every now and again you hear something, or I don't know, I was gonna say see something, that doesn't make any sense, that is sort of reminiscent of how she uses her pen. So I would say Music Box probably, if I had to name songs off of that album that I think are really truly, like really spoke to me as a kid, gosh, there are so many. Thinking About You is the first one that comes to mind. Dream Lover, geez, I played the hell out of Dream Lover. Hero was there. Without You, gosh, there's so many. There are actually so many. Not a bad song. You know something? I've been meaning to get into musicals, but I'm not gonna lie. The musical world, I don't know, it might be a bit too much for me. Like, each musical that's super popular has a really, really dedicated fan base. And not just that, they seem to love to rip each other's heads off. I'm not going to lie to you. So I really don't know. I even, I remember like my first true introduction to like musical theater kids was when Glee made it okay to be like a musical theater kid out loud. I will never forget what it was like to be someone who didn't care for Glee and had all these people that like suddenly came out of the woodwork and really tormented me, you know, tormented all of us. Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll get into them at some point. You know, it's definitely something that it is on my list. You know, my mom was a huge like opera head, so I don't know. I think there's some crossover there, so I think eventually I will get into musicals. I just don't know. I don't know when to start, where to start. And with that being said, if we're counting High School Musical as a musical, I would say that most of my favorite songs from musicals come from there. You know, baby steps. Okay, you can't penalize me for this. I would say, okay, from High School Musical 1, I think it has to be Bop to the Top. I'm sorry, but Sharpay did her thing. High School Musical 2, I have very fond memories of because it debuted on my birthday. So we sat down and ate cake and watched that. Watched the premiere of High School Musical 2. But High School Musical 2, oh my gosh, I Don't Dance. Don't talk to me if that's not your favorite song, to be honest with you. I mean, there were a lot of other good ones too. Bet on It. Even All for One. Oh my god, I Gotta Go My Own Way. How could I forget that one? Yeah, High School Musical 2 was that girl. But I think my favorite all-time song from the franchise is Can I Have This Dance from High School Musical 3. So yeah, if we're counting that, that's what I have to say. If you're not counting it, then back of the line, I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry, sweetheart, you're going to have to forgive me for refusing to answer this question. The reason is because I always find that, okay, I've given song recommendations, or at least my favorite songs, to very few people, and I've regretted it each time, mostly because no one's in your life forever, right? And I do not like the idea, or rather, I do not like the experience of having shown someone in particular a song because you knew that you had the same music taste as them, but when they're no longer in your life, you can only think about them when you listen to the song, when before the song belonged to you. You could, you know, daydream or fantasize or, you know, experience whatever the hell you wanted with the song. So unfortunately, this now means that I don't share anything at all with anyone. The lucky few were very few. I should emphasize that they were few to begin with. So now I don't anything that's like a true favorite of mine, anything that gives me peace or serenity or helps ground me into my experience here, you know, helps me feel alive, is really kind of a bit of a lifeline, or maybe even a silver lining, honestly, because I do find being here very difficult. I keep that to myself, you know, self-care. So, yeah, unfortunately, that means that you will not be hearing my answer to this. But that being said, though, there are plenty of beautiful, awe-inspiring, and thought-provoking music out there, and I implore you to find what speaks to you. I actually cannot fall asleep to music. I can't fall asleep to anything with talking in it, or even like ambient music. I find that it's a little too distracting. It tends to induce my thoughts rather than quiet them. So if there's any kind of sound I'm falling asleep to, it has to be some sort of white noise or complete silence. Yeah, music or even talking, of any kind is really not for me. You know something? I love games and I love gaming in general. So I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite game. I don't have a favorite genre. So long as it induces play, joy, and fun, I am all in. Some people might find this toxic, but actually my favorite way to self-care is actually to ask for space. Or rather, I don't really ask for space, I kind of just take it. I very much need to be alone with my own thoughts very often, maybe more often than most, which is why my friend circle is so small. And the only people that I've essentially held on are, people that I'm connected to at a soul level, because otherwise it just doesn't. So yeah, I think definitely assessing my own thoughts, analyzing my own thoughts, and usually I do it to music. Sometimes I don't. It doesn't matter what song, it's just kind of whatever I'm in the mood for. And journaling. I journal, think, philosophize, analyze, and listen to music. That's basically my idea of self-care, honestly. Because if I do that, it's like I'm cleansing or purging my mental landscape. And when that's the shape that I'm in, I'm pretty much unstoppable. I definitely am someone who sends one long text. I am notorious for my Bibles. In fact, I can shove so much onto a text message that it's still not enough. And so sometimes I send multiple long Bibles. Like, I wish I was kidding. A lot of people, when I, talk to them really deeply, I want to say a lot of people, remember how I said that I have very limited amount of friends? But whenever I talk to any one of those people, they literally have to get into the mindset to be able to digest everything that I wrote, because I'm so thorough with what I want to say and how I want to say it and what I want to convey, which is why I don't really share my thoughts with a lot of people, because it takes up, it asks a lot of them without me meaning to. It's just, even though we're close, we're still on different frequencies. So yeah, in general, I can be surrounded by a lot of people, a little bit of people, a little bit of people. What am I talking about? Few people, but still be living a very solitary life. And that's something I've made peace with.